Shaun, thanks for having us in your backyard. I mean, when people think New Zealand, they probably don't think beautiful beaches and hot, sunny days, but it's pretty nice out here in Piha Beach.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Some of our Aussie team, some of my Aussie teammates are slowly figuring it out that, yeah, we're a little more than rain and dark days, so we've had a good patch. It's been nice.
It's a beautiful country, isn't it? Well, a beautiful place to call home.
Yeah, it's just nice being back. It's been really nice the past 12 months, been able to settle back into, our familiarities, I guess, our surroundings, and, connect back to a place, that we didn't get to spend too much time over the last few years. So, yeah, it's not a bad spot.
You love New Zealand, and New Zealand loves you. We saw that last year, up the WAHS, the Warriors, the way you guys performed. What was that like to be a part of that roller coaster?
It was special, it was really special, man. It was really cool to, coming back. We wanted to get back. We wanted to, I guess, re-establish ourselves back into the community and play in front of our people. And as the season, started to prolong, we started to get a lot of traction, not just from our fans, but people who weren't necessarily Warriors supporters at the start of the year, or rugby league fans in general at the start of the year. And then you felt like this big sort of wave of support just came in, really hot. And to be able to experience that, at a place that we haven't been able to, I guess, achieve that over the past few years was really cool. And it was something that, saying to a few of the Aussie boys actually, don't take it for granted, because this isn't what it's always like, and it's not what it always has been.
There was this great moment in that match against Newcastle when you played over here, where you came off early and you got to kind of walk around Mount Smart Stadium, and the crowd just went crazy, a full crowd, appreciating you and what you've done this year, what you've done for this club. What was that like?
Those sorts of moments are pretty hard to put into words. I'd experienced some pretty cool things throughout, my journey and my career, and it's at the top of that sits that moment. It was after the game that we'd just played, and I guess the stage of the season we played it at. It was really special just to have a home finals game, and then for the boys to play so well that you get an early mark, to be able to absorb the crowd and experience that moment was something I'll never forget, man. I'll never forget it. I remember looking into the crowd and I was just so taken back by it. I saw tears in little kids' eyes and grown men's eyes. It was like, oh, bro, it was just something, you couldn't write it. You couldn't ask for it again, It was one of those just one-off moments that, were truly special.
You grew up wanting to be a Warrior. That's all you ever wanted to be. So does that sit with you in that moment, or is it something you think about afterwards?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. And I think, in reflection too, when I look back on it, probably the bit I connect with is when I see, a kid just so speechless that all he can do is cry. I never got to experience that as a fan. I was never that in depth. I never got to go to a finals game as a kid. But I do remember sitting in the stands, I remember just riding my team like you just wanted them to win so bad. So I do have a sense of what it feels like to be there. So to be on the other side of that, walking along, feeling that warmth and that reception from them, it was pretty powerful.
What was the catalyst for last season, do you think, for the team as a whole?
I think buy-in, and I think belief. And they weren't always there. I remember one of Webby's, early addresses to the group was one where it was almost he was trying to convince us that we were good enough to do something special. And it was quite funny, there weren't many boys in the room that felt like we were in a position to do that, just off what we'd done the year before and where we were at. And then he spoke about there's only one way we're sort of going to get there, and that's by everyone in this room. I guess for us was rowing in the same direction. As you start to win games, that belief just starts to build, and when you have that, it's pretty powerful.
Why do you think he saw it? If some guys didn't, why did coach pick it up?
Oh, bro, I just think Webby's a winner. I think he came from an environment where all they did was win, and he looked at individuals within our group, and he didn't make big drastic changes. He rolled with what was already there and knew that there was something half decent there. So he just breathes it, he just oozes this sort of aura of confidence, and you just contagious, you just want to absorb it, and you're back and you see where it takes you.
What drove you? What picked you up to that level that you performed at last season?
Bro, it wasn't just there's not just one area, to be honest. Like from where I was the year before, it wasn't going to be too hard for me to get back to some sort of half-decent footy. You know, I was pretty poor in 22, but Webby had a conversation with me early on. I didn't really have the passion or wasn't enjoying my footy. And he just spoke to me about, if I'm happy, then I'm going to be the starting 7. And I think in that moment when he sort of said that to me, like, I was just like, okay, wow, you know, like he's going to back me. And then the next step was just getting home, getting back into a life where I could be a dad. You throw that all in and, yeah, you get what you got. And I was in a space where I was just so content and so happy and had such a good balance on and off the field that walking into the club every day was a buzz. It was a thrill. Balance off the field with a good coach. Yeah, it's a pretty good feeling.
Did you think it was a possibility that you wouldn't be the starting 7? Is that?
Oh, bro, hard. Like, even once he said that to me, I knew that he never gave it to me in my hand. He said, you got to work, you know what I mean? You're happy, you work hard. And I did. I had one of the best pre-seasons I'd had in a very long time. Even now, like, I don't presume the position's mine. Like, you can't. Not when you start to get a little older, bro. And like, you got these young fellas that are just so sharp with what they do. I'm always just trying to find ways that I can evolve my game and just stay relevant, stay current.
You see it, teams can have drastic improvements and then maybe they start to read their own headlines, they fall away, but how do the WAHS continue the momentum?
Like, it's going to be a really interesting year, I reckon, man. Like, and it's cool to be able to have this conversation and come at it from a different angle where it's like, not this, oh, they're really inconsistent, they've got no chance, and whatever they were saying about us at this time last year, essentially, right? Like, it's going to be cool just to see how we adapt and how we roll with maybe necessarily not flying under the radar this season.
What about having a guy like Roger Tuivasa-Sheck come back to the club?
You know, he's coming back because he can sense something special is about to happen, but he's been brought back because they're the type of people you want in your environment to take you to that next level. The bit that probably goes unnoticed with Rog is how he applies himself 24/7. You know, like, a lot of people will see the 80 minutes, see what he can do on the field, see how much of a freak he is, but he lives that standard daily. I'm constantly saying to him, bro, can you just chill a little bit? Like, he's just so on all the time. When you got that in your environment, man, like, you got to get to his level because he's certainly not going to come down to anyone else's.
What about for you? Like, what's the desire like after such a great season? But there's also, are you just taking it one year at a time at this point now?
Oh, bro, I didn't achieve anything, man. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't achieve anything. Like, we got a taste of how good it could have felt. And if that's how good that felt, then I could only imagine we go 1 week deeper and play 80 minutes of the best footy of our life, what that next feeling would have felt like. And that's enough of a drive to get me coming back until we achieve that.
I want to go backwards a little bit. I heard you're a skateboarder when you were younger. Is that true?
Yeah.
Bit of a skateboarder?
Yeah, I skated like a lot of kids do.
Yeah.
I got to the point where it was like, okay, like, for your age, like, you're pretty good. And I got like some low-level sponsorship stuff.
Sponoed,
bro. Yeah, I get picked up. Yeah, like, it's just what you did as a kid, you know? But ended up getting hurt way too much, so it was like that or league, and I went with league.
Can you still skate now? Or?
Chuck me on a little half pipe, I could get up and down pretty good, I reckon. But there's no way I'm doing half or even a third of the stuff that I did as a 12, 13, 14-year-old. Like, some of the stuff I think back on, I'm like, bro, what were you even thinking doing that? Now I've got kids, I'm like, you're definitely not skating, and if you do, you're wearing helmet, elbow pads, knee pads.
We know you're a hell of a touch player as well, obviously, in your youth. When did you first kind of realise that you could move like that, you kind of could assess and find space naturally? Yeah,
it was early. Right. I remember playing third form rugby, and I would have been, so that's like 12, 13 years old over here. And I remember I started moving then, like, I'm beating people and sort of getting away from people, you know? Like, that's when I probably really started to understand what I was doing.
Yeah.
So touch just enhanced that. It was a game built for me because, bro, I was small.
Touch is the thing that got you noticed, right?
Yeah, well, because I sort of, like I mentioned, I played a lot of rugby throughout school, so I sort of got out of the system of league over here, and my old man would just film, like, on this little hand cam, like, dusty-ass footage of me just playing touch for, like, school. And then I had some footage of me playing in a random sevens comp for rugby, and we just threw it together and sent it to a family friend in Australia. And then he sent it back to the Warriors, and yeah, the rest is history.
You mentioned your old man there, and you mentioned that you were skinny. He was trying to bulk you up, right?
Yeah, I was tiny. My old man used to, like, before I'd get up, before I'd go to school, I'd wake up and I'd get out the shower and I could smell, like, the fry-up that he had just whipped up upstairs. And I'd get upstairs, and I know, I don't want to sound ungrateful here, but it was, like, to the point where I was sick of eating it. Like, 2 or 3 bits of toast, baked beans on, fried egg, cheese, and a protein shake. And he would make me finish it, so I'd force feed myself every day before school to get that down. And it was on the pure basis that he knew if I didn't put on weight, that I wasn't going to play. Yeah, I wasn't going to be a chance of playing rugby league professionally. So he sensed it pretty early.
Wasn't there a fridge in your car or something?
Yeah, he hooked up a fridge in my car after work. I'd have snacks and protein bars and a protein shake in this little fridge in my car, which... Yeah.
He sounds like an intense dude.
And that's the thing, he's actually not. But I think, like, he just knew, eh? He just knew, and I'm probably only just really starting to realise how much he knew that I needed to put on weight. Like, I really did. Yeah. So, thank you, Dad.
It worked out well. You know, you burst onto the scene, 2011.
Yeah.
In a grand final that year, but that was obviously a big surprise for you. You started the season playing park footy, and then you're playing a grand final. Like, what was that kind of whole whirlwind like?
You're right. I remember my first game of footy that year was for the Hibiscus Coast Raiders, which is my junior club. Came back from a back injury and just needed to get some game time. So they sent me back to play. I think it was like Sharman. It wasn't even like top level here. And I was playing down at Vic Park. Scored a hat-trick in that, but playing park footy, and then a handful of months later I'm playing at ANZ in a grand final. I was like, what is going on? Like, what is this world? In some ways, I probably took it for granted, you know? Like, that's all I knew. I walk in, you win games, you make grand finals, that's rugby league.
I mean, I know losing would have hurt, but is it almost that you're not young and naive that you probably don't realise?
Let's just say if I lost a grand final now, it would hit a whole heap different, you know? And that's purely just because of the runs on the board now and the understanding of how tough this game is. So yeah, in that sense, like, losing that grand final hurt. But if we were to go down that path again, I'd be doing everything in my power to not let that happen again, you know.
You're only young then, and obviously with notoriety comes pressure. How do you think young Shaun Johnson handled pressure compared to older Shaun Johnson now?
I mean, if I look back on performance, then I didn't handle it well. You know, I was very hit and miss. I was very up and down early on. And that stigma sort of stuck for quite a while. You know, even when I got to a point where I was playing pretty good, consistent footy, I remember hearing, oh, he's still so inconsistent. He shows up one game, gone for the next 3. And it's like, what? Are you actually watching me play right now? But I think it was a perception, you know. Now, pressure's different to me now. You know, it's so much different. Probably easier to say this coming off the year that we've just had. We've won more games than we've lost, but I don't define myself. Or if someone wants to judge me off 80 minutes a week, then that's their issue. You know what I mean? I know I'm far more than that.
It's interesting you say that, because I watched an interview from you a couple of years ago, and you spoke about the criticism you got when you won the 2014 Golden Boot as the best player in international rugby league. And you said, I'd almost give it back to not cop the backlash that I received from that. Like, do you still feel that way, or do you feel differently about it now?
Oh, like, at the time, I was like, bro, I didn't ask for this award. You know what I mean? I didn't vote for myself. Why are you taking your frustrations out on me, you know? And that's what I meant by that. Like, I wish I didn't have to feel that, but I did. But it's certainly an award that I'm proud of, you know? Like, it's like, at that point of my career, I was deemed on the international stage as the best player. So, like, bro, I'll take that, you know? I'll take that, it's all good. Like,
you had some great moments, and have had plenty of great moments wearing the Kiwi jersey. I can think about that 2014 Tri-Nations win, and the year before the World Cup, the semi-final try to beat England. Was it any different now, looking back, probably almost 10 years on,
I probably haven't given it enough time where I think about that I was actually playing 10 years ago. But I probably should, man, because I'm a big advocate of, like, if you can celebrate and cherish, like, memories and moments. Like, don't wait until it's 20 years down the line or whatnot, you know, like just love it right now. And
Is there still a desire to wear the Kiwi jersey?
ultimately, we play. I'll always put my hand up, and I'd always love to wear a Kiwis jersey. I feel like my time's sort of past to do that. You know, like we've got Jerome Hughes, we've got Dylan Brown, we're set, you know. Like invest in them to take us to where we want to go, you know. So like, if for some reason they couldn't play or, you know, something happened, then I'm straight away, you know, like I'd love to. But I'm very content, you know, in that aspect of what I've been able to achieve in that space, and the way I've been able to represent, you know, my family and country on that stage. And I actually really loved being home, watching the boys go to work. You know, like I sat at home and I watched those games with my family and commentated one of them. It was cool. It was really cool.
Commentated some of them. You're coming for our jobs, eh? got a plan in.
Don't worry, I won't be going back. I won't be going back.